Hey guys, welcome back to Hate It or Love It. You just tuned in to episode number 13. And you already know the goal is to break the image of tradition
while showing the beauty of walking in wisdom,
bringing it raw and keeping it 100.
With Christ at the center, you're either going to hate it or love it.
Hey, so you already know we're coming in and we're coming in strong. You feel me? Thanks for coming in. And we're going to talk about melanated people.
Yeah.
Listen up.
Yeah.
This was for you.
All the way for you. All the way for you. So I'm going to start out with a couple of scriptures. Instead of doing it at the end, we're going to do it now because I want to deal with it like just at the beginning. So it's going to be Hebrews 12:6, where it says, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastises everyone he accepts as sons. And then we have Proverbs 3:12, and there's many other scriptures. But it says, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father, the son he delights in. So for me, this episode is really bringing correction to Black people. I feel like if you say something negative against Black people, they automatically assume that you hate yourself. But according to the word of God, it's the opposite.
Right.
Because I love you. When I see you stepping in error, when I see you walking down a path of destruction, I call you out, not because I hate myself, but because I love you.
Right.
And that's what they've made it out to be, that we're supposed to cosign anything.
Everything.
And everything. If it's in black skin. But it's like, I'm not going to cosign that. Why would I celebrate that? And because I don't celebrate that, then that automatically means that I don't love myself.
Not only that, it's like people only have cosign. They cosign where everybody's looking. And behind closed doors, like, well, you already know.
But see, that's the part that irritates me about it the most.
Mm-hmm.
If you take it out of if you push everything else back and we're just having regular conversation and you say, you know, it's a shame that like we don't represent one another. We don't stand up for one another. We don't support one another. Mm-hmm. We can say that. But if you call that out in public, it's like, oh, you hate yourself.
Yeah.
You know, people want to jump on you for stating a truth, something that's a reality that we all see and know.
I think, honestly, that it's not okay. I think that is, they know it's not okay too, but I'm sorry to say, they've been brainwashed to look at one specific aspect of Black lives versus the whole spectrum, because if you start fixing it there, that's way more work than just doing what the media and everybody's saying to do, because the media is backing it up. So come on, let's do this part. We're not going to do all of it because they're not backing up all of it anyway, because if they were, then they'd be really about fixing Black issues. You know what I mean? But they're not. And I think it's laziness, because it's easier to do what everybody else is doing. It's not easy to say, you know what, let's look at our community. Let's start.
And it's also putting your neck on the chopping block, because you know that if you say something, you're going to get the mob, period. You're going to get the mob, and you're going to get the whole you hate yourself. That's why you're coming against Black people. It has nothing to do with that.
Nope.
So like for me, like I'm at this point where I feel like if I was an enemy and I really despised you, I would find the worst candidate that was willing to do anything. And I would just put them as the front man, and I would be working through them. And that front man would be a Black man, because you won't say anything against him. Even though he's totally wicked, totally wrong. You'll love him. Mm-hmm. You'll love him. Just because it's a Black man or it's a Black woman. Do y'all ever pause for a moment to go deeper than just the skin color? Or is it just she's Black and she's coming home? Because I never heard about this chick.
I didn't either.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know nothing about her, but I do now.
You know, like we will celebrate this. Don't care about what's attached to it. But a Black woman was freed. We will celebrate this. Don't care what's attached to it. But a Black man is in office. We will celebrate this. And we don't care what's attached to it. But we got a Black Supreme Court justice. We will celebrate this. Don't care if she don't know how to do the job whatsoever. But we have somebody that is a press secretary. And you know, it makes no sense.
And I do have to say it because I want to make sure, because we're such haters, right? Anybody in another country in jail is sad. And bringing any of them back home is something that as Americans we want, but not like this. And that's pretty much what the point is. It's not like we're like, oh, leave her there because she's black or not because she's black. It's just the priorities are just out of whack when we leave a Marine still over there. Mm-hmm. It should have been a better trade. Either just give Brittany and the Marine for the Merchant of Death or no trade.
Like, y'all are getting
that that guy should have been 3.
Exactly.
We should have got all 3 of our people out of there.
Honestly, I don't even think he should have been up for discussion.
Right.
But here we are. So I would like to get into a couple of videos that I was looking into. Mm-hmm. And there's so many examples, but I just want to grab these 2 because these 2, for me personally, I specifically remember Black people celebrating that these 2 women got in. And I'm thinking, what are y'all celebrating for? Like, do you even know what you're hand clapping? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't understand because they're not worthy.
I'll never forget the day I was in that room and everybody was going crazy. They was going right around me talking about, and I was just like,
and again, this isn't, I'm telling you this, I do not believe with all of my heart that this is a popular view amongst all Black people. But what I will say is that you do see a lot of it online.
Yeah.
You do see a lot of it online. And it is, to me, it's heartbreaking that you don't care about the history of this person, what they represent. To me, it's like Satan or the devil can come back and be the most wicked thing you've ever seen. But as long as he's in black skin,
they'll ride for the devil.
You know what I'm saying? Black people will clap it up as if we achieved something. And it's like, what are we winning here? So with that, we're going to roll into the first 2 clips of the 2 people that I noticed where many Black people were celebrating. And in my mind, I'm thinking, for why? Mm-hmm. Hit it.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
You said this morning, and I appreciated it, how you want to direct the defendants. You want to get them to own up to what they've done in these cases. And I thought that was powerful, and I thought it was right. But let me just ask you about what you said to this defendant. You said to this defendant, for whom you sentenced to only 3 months in prison, that your collection, I'm quoting you, your collection at the time that you were caught was not actually as large as it seems. Now, the government felt the need to respond to you on the record. They said the government doesn't believe that it's appropriate to just disregard the number of images, that the number of images can be appropriate. And indeed, in this case, the defendant has amassed an extremely large collection of child pornography. But you disregarded that. You also told the defendant, you said this seems to be a case where you were fascinated by sexual images involving what were essentially your peers. And then you went on to say the defendant was merely trying to satisfy his curiosity. Curiosity is your word. One more thing on this, same idea. You said you were viewing, this is you to the defendant, you were viewing sex acts between children who were not much younger than you. And this whole discussion is about why you're only giving him 3 months. Judge, he was 18. These kids are 8. I don't see in what sense they're peers. I don't understand you saying to him that they're peers and that therefore you were viewing sex acts between children who are not much younger than you and that's somehow a reason to only give him 3 months. Help me understand this.
Senator, I don't have the record of that entire case in front of me. What I recall with respect to that case is that unlike the many other child pornography offenders that I had seen as a judge and that I was aware of in my work on the Sentencing Commission, this particular defendant had just graduated from high school.
Judge, with all due respect, and I'm telling you what, I'll be direct with you. I am questioning your discretion, your judgment. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not questioning you as a person. I'm not questioning your excellence as a judge, frankly, but you said it, you had discretion, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm questioning how you used your discretion, in these cases. And to me, to take a guy who's 18 years old, who has what the government says is an extremely large collection of prepubescent pornography, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, we're talking about, I mean, gobs of hours of time here that he has. And you say to him, what? That you say that, well, you know, it was just a collection. I mean, he was just viewing it, and it was, you know, essentially they were his peers. You say to him that he's not a pedophile. I don't know how you know that. I don't know why that's relevant to the guidelines, but maybe it is. You say he's not a pedophile. You say that you're very sorry for him and what he suffered, and then you give him 3 months when, frankly, a liberal prosecutor is asking for 2 full years. I mean, it does seem like an extraordinary case to me. It would bother me no matter what. It really bothers me when in every case, child porn case you've had discretion, you've sentenced below the guidelines and below the government's recommendation.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
So to me, this is the frustrating part, that we could celebrate Kamala Harris and we can celebrate Miss Jackson getting into the Supreme Court, but we don't know nothing about these people. But because they have black skin, we're all for it. We're all for it.
Yeah, because
we broke the ceiling. How?
And the thing is that it don't take a genius. Like, my whole thing, and the reason I don't like these people a lot of the times is not because of what they do. It's because they act like they have no remorse whenever you call them out. They never have a direct answer when you call them out. Mm-hmm. And nobody, you people that support them, you let them get off just because they're black. They're like, oh, well, you know what? We made it. Like, are you kidding me? This kid had all this kiddie porn and you're trying to say that he's not a pedophile?
No. And we're going to apologize to you.
Give him 3 months?
3 months. And we're going to co-sign this. That she gave him 3 months.
About, I seen that he graduated high school, right? And I could tell he knew how to tie his shoelaces. And that's just not.
He had a future. He had a future.
That's not the typical perpetrator we see out there.
The whole speech was crazy to me. But the sad part is that when you talk to people that celebrate people like this, mm-hmm. they know nothing about them. They're just happy because they're black. Now, to move on to like the next clip that I have.
Kamala, let's talk about Kamala for a second.
You want to go?
We can't go to the next clip without saying a little thing or ting about her. Like, what she did with that case, with those 2 cases that the one woman, I don't know her name, brought up. Like, she knows she did that. And instead of
addressing it, she goes into the whole Trump thing. And
right. Mm-hmm. Like, why not address it? Why not said, you know what, that decision was wrong?
Nope.
That, you know what I mean? Because I would respect her and I would understand anybody who stood by her and said, Kamala, she's the greatest. Like, and then, you know, the whole border question, that pissed me off. Okay. I didn't feel like cursing, right?
No,
But
you're good. You're good.
that pissed me off because how are you going to say I never been to Europe? And everybody's going to take that as like her
that's a
giving a
legitimate
response.
answer.
Yeah. Like, just say, you know, you don't really want to deal with it. Just say you can't deal with it. You say somebody else is dealing with it. But to say I never been to Europe, or to not even address that case, you handled it wrong. And yeah, you smoke weed and maybe you shouldn't have been so hard. Maybe people are like, oh, okay. She would get more approval.
No, but she did the work. But the funny part to me
she was,
is that,
and there was one. Sorry, and I'm gonna cut you off one more time, but I was just
No,
gonna
you're
say
good.
there's one time where she said she wished everyone would do it the way she did.
oh, no, thank you. But it's amazing to me that people can be upset at Trump, President Trump, for putting out the ad because of the Central Park Five, right? Because, oh, they were innocent. They were innocent. They were innocent. So you could be mad at him, but you have no care that this woman kept people in prison longer than their sentence for cheap labor. You have no beef for this woman being in office, okay? And you would vote for her still when the judge had to fight her to release somebody that was actually innocent. Nothing there. But you want to hold on to the fact that this man is a racist because Central Park 5.
Not only that, when she was inaugurated, she didn't care about being identified as a black woman.
No, she was an Indian.
Yeah.
She's always been known as Indian.
Yeah.
Indian American.
And then all of a sudden,
VP.
oh, yeah, now it's like, you know, black. I'm a black woman. Yeah, right. I don't even understand this whole
That's
thing.
interesting because, like, with you saying that, and I was watching a video where a chick was like, it's interesting that when they talk about like sex being on a spectrum, you know, preference or whatever the case may be, gender being on a spectrum, that one thing that is race. If anything, because Obama is half black, but I think he's half white, but nobody identifies him as a white man.
Right.
Or a biracial. They just say he's a black man.
You know what? That is so funny because, like, you almost took, like, you were in my head because I can actually admit that race is on a spectrum because all different shades come from all different countries. And you can get a black person come from a whole different place in the world and they will not admit to being black. They're like from that country, wherever it is, you know, Haiti, Jamaica, Africa, even, you know what I mean? They're not black. They're African.
People only exist in America. You don't leave this motherfucking like, yo, I'm black. No, nigga, where you from Congo? Where you from? Egypt? You gotta be from somewhere. You can't go, I'm white. No, where you from? Poland? Scotland? England?
Mm-hmm.
Where? Denmark? Where are you from? And then when you get there, like, well, white people ain't from there. It's Scottish and this. You know. People know their essence. So to me, that's, nah. Because I done been spots with my black friend, my Jewish friend, my Spanish friend. You know, we go overseas and they call all of us Americans.
Yeah.
Not black guys, not the white, no, Americans. I heard it out people's mouths more than 20, 30 times. So that's crazy that we look at each other like that here, but when you leave, you got to come together.
Because we in America view it differently. We do,
but this is the thing. It's all culturally taught and passed down. As for gender, is not taught and passed down. It is, you are born this way. That is what you are. Decide to wear a dress if you want to, whatever. But you are born as a woman. That is not something that is passed down from generation to generation. But, you know, cooking rice and, you know, I don't know, going to the beach or having cookouts or speaking this language, speaking that language, braiding your hair. These are all things that are passed down from generation to generation to make it a culture. But sex isn't. So it's so true that culture is really, and race is on a spectrum.
Yeah. We
really do. We can identify as whatever we wanted to. If we grow up in China and you look just the way you look, they ain't nobody gonna tell you you're not Chinese. Okay.
But it's true though. I could dig it. You know, because I you know, that's where I was born.
Right. You come here talking Chinese, wearing all this different stuff, knowing all the different cultures. Somebody be like, "No, girl, you're black." You're like, "Hi."
I'm done. Anyway, but to go on, to move forward to my next clip.
Why did you think of that?
No, I don't know, because we're sisters.
All right, keep on.
But to move on to my next clip, I thought this was interesting because after you correct them, they always want to go into the system. The system.
They directly go right there.
There.
They don't stay there. They don't stay with the black where the issue is, and we can resolve it, and we can see eye to eye. No, let's go to the system. Well, who runs the system?
The Democrats.
People who are on the Democratic Party, they complain about the white man. You know what I mean? And that's the opinion of the whiteness is in the Democratic Party. Not to say it's not in the Republican, but all the things that we don't like and all the things that we are against, it started in the Democratic Party, and it has consistently still been in that party. It's just changed.
Even behind blackface.
Yeah, it's just changed the way. And the thing is, the way that they get the blackface is the sellouts. Sorry, they get paid a lot of money. And a lot of you who go out here and do podcasts and do all extra stuff, you keep going doing the same thing that they want you to do, and you get money. You think that it's because you're doing something good, and you think you're really spreading information, but you're just going along with the agenda. That's why you see the other side gets cut down. That's the slave master really whipping the slaves. No, you don't get the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and shut down your TikTok. No, your sound's gone. Your video's gone.
Oh, how they mute your video?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, you muted my... So you left the video
right,
up, but you muted it.
Right,
because it's ridiculous.
Because you get... Right. Right. With all the emotion.
Right? Nothing. No sound. It's ridiculous. But, they talk about how the system, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to go into this clip with Denzel Washington because I love that this isn't the first time that when they want to play the oppression card, that he comes in with truth. And I think
they can't get Denzel. Denzel and what's his name? Morgan.
Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. Both of them. They don't even talk about them no more. They're like,
we stop racism. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. Like you keep, and honestly,
stop saying I'm a black man,
and I'll stop saying you a white man, and we could dead it right there. Right. But you don't want to. You don't want to, and it is so funny because even in the Word of God, you see that anytime something is brought up like Black History Month, and I've said this in a previous video. They never show you the greatness of what black people accomplished. They only want to show you the oppression and the abuse. You know why? Because even in scripture, it says that when they did this ceremony, it brought them to remembrance that the work wasn't done.
Right. Well, that was the law.
But when we have a Black History Month every single year, and the only thing that you're showing people is not the victory of what black people, it's the hardship and the abuse. So you're keeping that in the forefront of their mind, and it keeps them from growing.
It does because it makes you angry. It makes you sad. It does not say, you know what? I feel like I now want to create something. I feel like I can do. I feel like I'm unstoppable. No, it says, you know what? We have an enemy. And we've had this enemy for a while, and we need to do something about it. That's what CRT's doing. That's how you want to teach your children about Black history, but you want to teach it in a way where it shows, the most gruesome stories, so kids can really look at the pain.
And with everything that you just said, the sad part to me is that all of the hardship that they're remembering was by the hands of Democrats. And that's the part that it's like, I don't care what you say. You could say, that side is the racist, so forth and whatnot. When you look at history, they blanket it as if it was just an America thing, but it wasn't. It was a party thing. There was one party specifically that did not want to free the slaves. It was one party specifically that didn't want to give slaves rights. It was one party specifically that didn't want them to have guns. It was one party specifically that wanted to hunt them down even after they had been set free, to put them under, or not set free, but once they, like the free slaves, that to bring them down into the South. That's where we get the movie 12 Years a Slave. That put them under that, to where black people were so afraid that they fled to Canada. It was one party and one party alone. And we think that today, oh no, the party switched. It's like, no, it didn't.
Look at what they're doing.
Exactly. You think that slavery is just about having you on a plantation when you are so oblivious to what slavery means that you don't understand that they are binding you to the government. Everything
That's
that they
your
are
master.
That's ownership.
The master.
It's ownership. They own what you say. They own what you do. They own whether you can work or not. They own whether you can move forward in life based on what they dictate. That is ownership, which is no more than slavery.
Yep.
It is only coming from one party. There is only one party that wants to own every asset of every aspect of your life.
Yep.
Only one. And yet they're saying, "Oh no, they're the party of racism." And it's like, wait a minute. You don't see that they trying to make you slaves on a low? You can't see that?
Not only that, you're okay with white people talking down to black people as long as they're conservative. Like, that right there just shows me that y'all ain't really unified the way we're supposed to be.
Right.
The way you say that your Black Lives Matter, that right there shows me where you're okay with people like us being disrespected and being called coon by white people.
By black people.
Even.
You know what I'm saying?
But
no, because white people won't do it. Black people will be the first one to
will.
call you a coon.
Oh,
But they
okay,
feel that
okay. They
can't.
maybe don't call you a name, but they do belittle you. They like say stuff like, do you know that you're supporting the side that doesn't even care about you?
Yeah. You're voting against your own interest.
Do you know that you're actually oppressed?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could say whatever I want as a white person. I know that I could say how can, and I'm sorry, there's no white person that talks like that I really think to themselves, that's my ally. There's no way. There's no way. Like,
we ain't friends.
Yeah, there's no way.
But to go into our next clip.
Yeah, let's do that.
Denzel, take it away.
Denzel, go ahead. We can't do it together? It has to be you only?
You know what? Whatever.
It was something I read where you talked about your people from Mount Vernon saying that, like they've done like 40 years in the penitentiary together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, and, incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway in the
I
legal
think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, "Yeah, they're little yummies." I said, "Who?" He said, "Little yummies. Look up, Google Little Yummy." Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father? It starts in the house. It starts in the home. And well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
Like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 to 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life, even though my parents were together. But I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example, and they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7.
Yeah.
We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing, and the system got them. So I don't, the system is rigged, but why? All the more reason not to help it.
Okay, so for me, it's like I love the fact that he's taking responsibility. You can blame the system, but at the end of the day, it's like, where's the father? And when I hear that, I'm thinking that is so beautiful because it's true. It really does start at the home. You could talk about what the white man is doing, but if you're not taking care of your responsibility at home, being a father, being a mother.
Because I was going to say, because I hear father so much, and it's like not everybody has the privilege, or, maybe they made bad decisions and didn't choose a right partner to have a child with, right? But as a mother, and I can go from personal experience, right? Having cousins in the system, having siblings in the system. How do you raise your child and not be attentive attentive to what is being fed to their mind, what is being fed to their soul. When I had my child and I knew that I was going to have a little boy, I said, we are not living in the hood.
You stupid.
Do you know what I mean? Like this, no, and I'm just saying, because if you can't have the dad around, at least try to give him the best opportunity that you can.
Yeah, but they're saying that a lot of them are already in situations where they can't. And that's the thing. No, I agree, because there was a young boy I remember vividly when I was in middle school. There was a young boy that was always, I mean, from head to toe taken care of, right? And I went to go see my homegirl, and she lived in the projects. And I saw him there, and I was like, yo, what are you doing here? And he's like, I live here. I'm thinking, you live here? And I end up hearing that his mother made sure that her son had everything, and she was going to push him in the direction that, even though they were in the projects, because that was the choices that she made as a young woman,
right?
She was going to make sure with every fiber of her being that her son wasn't going to repeat her.
Yeah.
And so I understand that some people don't have the resources to maybe get out, but nothing stops you from equipping the next generation.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I beg to differ. You can always get out. It takes a lot of hard work and it takes a lot of grind, but you can always get out. And I'm just being honest, because my mom got out and I seen how she did it. And once my mom got out, I said, I'm just never going in. That's really what really happened on my situation.
Maybe that might have been your situation.
Yeah,
but
and everybody's different.
For those that say that they can't, she gave everything she had into her son. And that's what she did. And I thought it was a beautiful thing. Now that I'm an adult and I look back, I'm thinking that took a lot as a mother to be by yourself, living off the government, but saying, my son is not going to die here. I'm going to do everything I can.
How do you do that, though?
She did it. You know what I mean?
But how?
But
you know what I mean? Because that's the...
Well, it takes a lot of sacrifice, I think.
It does.
It takes a lot of sacrifice.
It does.
But to me, just to go back to the whole clip, it's like he mentions the father in the home. And if you look at a lot of these policies, especially from one side, it's to break up the patriarchy. It's to separate. It's to break up the family unit.
The family unit, yeah.
They don't want that.
Yeah.
So I don't care about the fact that, there was so many Republicans that voted against the anti-lynching bill. It's like, who's lynching anybody in 2022? Nobody's doing that.
They are lynching.
No, seriously.
They're metaphorical lynches.
No. Anti-lynching bill.
Like actual lynch?
Yeah, like where black people are being hung from trees is not happening.
Well, no, that's not happening.
Okay, and there's more into the history of lynching. Won't go into it right now, but
I would love to.
Well, we're not going to do it right now.
I'm just saying, I would love to.
Yeah, but to make that something to say, oh, I told you they were racist because they voted against it. It's like nobody's doing that right now. That is not something that is relevant on the table. But this is where you guys want to stay.
Yeah.
Because emotionally, it pushes those buttons where they know. And that's the manipulative part that irritates me. You think I'm so weak-minded that you can come up with this ridiculous bill that does nothing for nobody, and I'm supposed to be moved because a couple of people voted against it? I could care less. But what I do care about is that you're pushing bills that separate the father from the mother.
Yeah.
And you're putting them in a condition that continues this perpetuation of poverty. Because poverty breeds crime.
Yeah.
That's where the racism is at.
Yeah.
And that's the part that irritates me.
Yeah.
Because you guys are focusing on things that don't matter. And because you're so emotionally driven, because they programmed you to be so emotionally driven, that you focus on this instead of what really matters. That's what irritates me.
That's what they do at
the coffee houses.
Yeah, girl, that was like coffee house vibes. I was like, yes, sister.
You stupid?
Nah, for real. Because I felt it in my heart as you was talking. It's so true, and I feel a little bit bad about saying just move out the hood because I guess I can only speak from personal experience. It may be hard, but I guess it is a mindset though. I really do think because whatever you want to do, I think that if you're willing to sacrifice, meaning just get rid of things, because sometimes things is what holds people to places. But then, I want to give a better advice, because I did want to put that in reference to moving out the hood too. Maybe you can't, and I want to be sensitive to that. Maybe you can't move out of the hood, right? But as an adult, educate yourself, because they are separated. Like Denzel says, the system is rigged. It is rigged. But the one thing that is going to help all of us is being educated.
And not contributing to it.
Yeah, because, once you start learning about psychology and how things work, it does put something different. Like for me, I want to say I learned about psychology, and I could not provide a father figure for my son. But I seen what team sports can provide a child, and how me being in a team sport really helps me look at my coach as a dad. Like I remember looking at my track coach as a dad, and like I look back and I still think about him. And what I say to you, I don't feel like it's working out unless I do what? Really? Okay. So I don't feel like I'm working out unless I go for a jog. Like if I didn't run, I didn't work out. Like we could have pumped weights.
Oh, that's what you were. I didn't know what you were talking about.
It's
I'm
okay.
Sorry. No. She doesn't feel that she's worked out.
Yeah.
Because when you say it's not working out, I'm thinking like, what's not working out? But when you're saying when we go to work out.
Yeah, when we go to a gym.
Yeah, when we go to work out.
Yeah.
If you hit the gym.
Yeah, we could have done 100 squats. We could have done push-ups.
1,000,000 push-ups. But if she didn't run,
I didn't work out.
She didn't work out.
Yeah. And so I take that, and I say that only because my track coach like has a spot, Mr. Johnson, Coach Johnson. Yeah, it's that deep, yo. Coaches really do have a spot in every child that they coach. They look up to them, especially single parent home children. They look up to them. And if you're trying to get them to be better, that's like a dad. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're getting them to be better at soccer or football or whatever the sport is. You're helping me be better. And that's what a dad provides in the home. A dad shows you, hey, son, this is how you change a tire. That, it teaches them stuff that mom can't teach them. So for me, like I knew I had to make my son be in those type of environments.
But to speak on that, I love that you brought up like the Josiah Henson in the beginning, because that's the next clip that we're going to go into.
Okay.
Because as much as there was hardship, there was plenty of beauty.
Well, but wait. What I was going to say is, as a parent, you should teach your kids what they're teaching you. Hey, that's not true. Hey, baby, no, that's not true. But you got to pass that test.
Let me see that. Let me see it. But no. So with that, we're going to go into the final clip, and it's going to be of Josiah Henson. And just to let you know, anytime that somebody calls you an Uncle Tom, this is who they're talking about.
And take it as a crown, okay?
Yo, it is such a compliment. So roll film.
Josiah Henson's story is a remarkable tale of a man who escaped the brutal bonds of slavery. He built a settlement for fugitive slaves and a school where their children could receive a proper education. His memoirs were a key inspiration for Uncle Tom's Cabin, the best-selling novel of the 19th century, which Abraham Lincoln credited with starting the Civil War. Josiah Henson's efforts on behalf of the Underground Railroad helped more than 100 slaves escape to freedom. He was received as an honored guest by the President of the United States, and he even traveled to England and met the Queen twice. But I'm getting ahead of the story. Slaves were supplied with the barest minimum of food and clothing. They lived in single-room huts with only packed dirt for a floor, and 10 or 12 adults and children would crowd into each hut to sleep. The huts provided little protection from the dampness and cold, and they did not permit the common decencies of life. Yet, in spite of these dreadful conditions, Josiah grew to be a robust and vigorous young man. The other slaves and even his master called Josiah a wonderfully smart fellow. Josiah had a curious mind, and he wanted to learn to read. But educating slaves was frowned on even in states where it wasn't expressly against the law. Josiah's master caught him one day with a spelling book, and he beat him unconscious with a walking stick. As cruel as the master was, he recognized that Josiah was a born leader, intelligent and well-liked by the other slaves. When Josiah was just 18, the master decided to save the salary of a white overseer and assign Josiah the responsibility of supervising the field hands. Josiah was both popular and efficient, and under his kind leadership, the slaves worked harder than they had ever worked under the whip of a white overseer. And more importantly, they produced more abundant crops.
To learn, to educate himself, that was an honor for them. You're talking about black people fighting to get into schools, to get an education. And here we are today in 2020, and we squander it.
Like, it is genius because you are frowned, like, no, not even frowned upon, okay? So you're looked down upon if you speak proper as a black person.
Then you're trying to be white.
You're trying to be white, which is like, what? Are you really sitting here saying that only white people speak proper?
Right.
And I'm the racist and white supremacist? Okay. So, hold up. I want to make sure I say this one more time. As a black person, if you speak proper, you're trying to speak white, according to black people. And who's the white supremacist? Like, literally, you're saying only white people are allowed to speak proper. If not, then you're being a white person.
Yep.
And it's the same thing to have conservative values. So you mean to tell me only white people can have the cool stuff? We can only get the ratchet shit. Twerking and cursing and improper speech, that's for us.
Yep. And it's
And
sad
braids.
because even
And
the entertainment side of it, like what we're talking about, the stuff that we share, it's not to elevate one another. It's more gossip. It's more of the tea. It's nonsense.
And objectifying. Don't forget that.
No,
like,
but
we have to be objectified as a female, and then we are deemed beautiful in today's culture. Get yourself a BBL, girl. I don't know what that was.
You stupid.
But I'm saying.
No, but I hear you. But I think it's so sad because if anybody is dishonoring black people or hating themselves or themselves, I really think it's people that buy into this because you don't even see that you have drifted so far from what we represented in the beginning. You were talking about in the beginning, we were people of faith. We were people of honor. That
Black people did it better.
No, I'm trying to tell you.
Black people did religion better.
No, I wouldn't say religion, but
I'm just saying if we take it into the terms that there's been
before the
used.
government stepped in, as far as the marriages and the families, we were growing and we were super strong. But when government stepped in, it began to separate, to break up, and then you see that as we were increasing, that the moment that Lyndon B. Johnson, because if we couldn't keep them oppressed, then I'm going to put things in place that will make them really destroy themselves from the inside out. So he gave government programs. This is the moment, the very moment that we received rights as black people. He puts in all of these policies. So we go like this before Lyndon B. Johnson to this.
Yep.
And it's been that ever since.
Yep.
So you cannot tell me that racism is what somebody says because I don't care. There's nothing on the books that stops me from doing what I need to do. Period. But what we do have is that we have this comfort and the security that a lot of politicians are offering. I'll take care of you. We'll take care of you because you're so oppressed and you didn't have a head start. So we're here for you.
But you can't go farther than right here.
But right here. Because as soon as you make $1
Don't
more,
you go-
we're
yeah.
gonna shut you down.
That's why I don't
and
like
to
'em.
you, it's like, why work? Why work?
is.
If I can do less and still get more, I will never be anything. To me, that is more racist than telling the young black person that they can be anything, that nothing can stop them, that they are in the freest country in the world. To me, I don't get it.
If you're really trying to help, there shouldn't be strings. So all I'm saying is, if they're ever going to give us anything, it's not going to come with nothing. Even if we were to get the mule and the 500 acres. Is it 500?
Yo, that'd be cracking me up. when they
Is
say
it 500 acres?
I don't know, but it's like the mule with the acres.
Yeah, like, yo, I want to see these mules coming out. And us in 2022.
Yo, who wants a mule right now? Could you imagine?
Yo, what is a mule?
Stupid. Could you imagine if they came up and we're not gonna give you money, but we gonna give you this mule?
Because so many people when they talk about it, they be like, we ain't never get our mule. And yo, y'all need to cut the mule off. Even if you're talking about reparations, bro, you know what you gonna do with that mule. My ancestors, it turns out they lived in North Carolina. I'm in Pennsylvania. They gave us 500 acres. I don't even know.
And I got a mule.
This mule's been sitting in my living room just looking at me.
All these mules on the market.
Yo, I don't know why. There's a whole bunch of mules on Craigslist. But then it's so funny because you are so right. I don't think I ever thought about it. Like, if we really got some mules. Like, you could have just gave me a Honda or a puppy.
But to look at Josiah Henson, the education was so important to Black people to educate themselves.
They were willing to get beat.
Yeah, they were willing to be beat. They were willing to escape. They were willing to flee. They were willing to fight to have more and to see where Black people are, to be in this complacent place where entertainment guides them and negativity. It's never anything good. It's never anything positive. It's never anything uplifting. It's never anything educational.
It's demoralizing.
All the way. And you're going to tell me that you're pro-Black? I don't think so.
You
but the
spitting
person
in all these people's faces
that fought, that
yeah.
would have loved the opportunity that you have today, but are not utilizing.
Imagine. It's going to be something funny, okay? That somebody should do it one day. Imagine having a time machine going from the field, picking cotton, and bring one of them people to here. You mean they let you have books?
I'm reading all of them.
Hold on, you got stuff to write it? And what's the master don't? No, so we can do whatever we want, sir.
Yeah.
And what do you choose to do? Well, we're over here doing the tack dances.
You know what I mean? Shake it out, pop it out. It's so sad. So for you to tell me that I hate myself, but to look at what you're promoting, what you stand behind, the fact that you could care less to educate yourself, I think if anybody shows more disrespect towards their culture, it would be you. Okay, so with all of this, I think that the most disrespect is to take the advantages that we have here in 2020 and squander it.
Yeah.
I think that the most disrespectful and most hateful thing to your own people is where you feel like you can't correct them. Because in the Word of God, it says that you correct those that you love. For you to look at me and to look at an entire culture and see that something is, and I really don't believe that it is the way that the bulk of Black people are.
No.
But they are the loudest in the room. So to take the people that are the loudest in the room and say that I'm going to co-sign this because they're Black, I think is wrong. There's no way that you can tell me that you love me, but you're going to co-sign nonsense. And not only that, but even when it comes to the entertainment industry, I was thinking about that a couple of days ago when I was at work. It's unfortunate that they've given these people a platform and they said, okay, we pulled you out of the hood. And it's interesting that when they get money, they get out. They get out. They don't stay in the hood. They get out of the hood. So as soon as they get out of the hood, they say, we put you on a platform and we're not going to put you in a place where you can actually encourage the next generation. We're going to give you this platform, but you have to pollute the mind of the next generation to where they see nothing greater than being a hoe, than being somebody's side chick, ratchetness, gang banging, all of the most negative things that keep them in this cycle. That's what you must promote.
Yep.
And that's where we stay. And that's our entertainment.
Yep.
That we are looking at people and we're idolizing people that have nothing to offer us.
And then, you know what? I'm about to say some left field stuff, okay? But I have to, right? So when rap first started to become popular, I remember somebody just recently did an interview, one of the members from Bone Thugs and Harmony, and they had an interview with an executive, and they had ties into private businesses, private jails, I should say. And they said to them, your music is going to be so great because it's going to help fill our jails. And I don't remember which member it is, but you remember feeling so bad. But at the same time, he was torn because it was a bag. You know, and the bag that they offer these rappers is ridiculous. And if you're going through things and, you know, you want to just get ahead and get your family out of the hood and all kinds of stuff, they just be like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this to my people. But the fact is that there are people who have their hands in the private jail, and they also have their hands in rap music. And I mean, you just look at it. It's obvious.
It's a mindset.
Yeah, it's legit not a conspiracy, because if you really listen to the music, a lot of it's like very, very violent and very like, you know, yeah, I got guns, you know, I'm gonna shoot you.
So to end it, the misconception is that anybody that calls out the Black community is somebody that hates themselves. It's not true. It's actually the other way around. If you were somebody that cosigns nonsense and cosigns things that further bring the Black community into destruction, no correction, you don't love them. You don't.
Yeah, straight up.
You're co-signing nonsense. But for you to come down on somebody that actually cares, that says, okay, something's not right here, so I'm going to call it out. The issue is not really me not wanting to support where I come from. The fact of the matter is that I see what's happening and I'm willing to call out what is wrong. If you can sit back and say, I'm going to support this person just because they're in Black skin, I don't think that all Black people sit there. I don't think that they camp out there to where it's just like, oh, if it's Black, we're all with it. I don't agree with that. And I don't think that's the bulk of Black people, but I do see a lot of it. And I think it's unfortunate. But if you really want to promote excellence, then do it.
Yeah.
Stop showing me the hardship of what happened and show me the victories that took place. Because we had a Black Speaker of the House. It was less than like 5 or 7 years that Blacks were speaking multiple languages. So, I mean, you see throughout history the beauty of what Black people have accomplished. It is so beautiful. But you don't want to dig into that. You want to dig into videos to where people are being hosed down and mistreated. To me, that does not produce life. It doesn't promote life. None of those things. And that's not where we are today. So how do we move forward from here? And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we have to be able to be corrected. Because Democrats and a lot of people that do not care about the Black community are using that to keep them where they are.
You know, and I was just thinking about it. I'm dyslexic. And when I first found out, I felt bad because I felt different from everybody else. I was like, wow, that's why I'm like different and why I'm not going to be like that successful. And then my mom, she literally looked up every person in history that had dyslexia. I was like Albert Einstein, you know, I remember some of them. Albert Einstein, Cindy Crawford. There's a whole list. But the thing is, when I was able to see the list of people who had dyslexia, I was like, wow, they did something with their life and they were successful. The reason I bring that up is as a Black person, if you're being taught that you're the victim, then you do get discouraged. So that's just like me saying when I first found out I had dyslexia, I
And
was
you're
like,
always looking for the cup to be half empty instead of full.
Yeah. But then when you see, wait a minute, there's people that looked like me and did great things. Hold up, I could do great things too. But if we're only teaching our children that they're victims, while in essence being a leader, we're not creating more leaders in our community. We're creating more slaves.
Now that concludes our show, and we just want to thank you for tuning in again. This is not a message of hate, but a message of love while you're watching Hate It or Love It. So what is the goal?
I don't get to say nothing else. The goal is to break the image of tradition,
while showing the beauty of walking in wisdom,
bringing the raw and keeping it 100.
Look Christ at the center. You either going to hate it or love it.
And close it when Clarissa wants to. All right, bye.
Yo, really?
Trying to have a little attitude. So.
It's not attitude.
Oh, really? It isn't? What will you call it then?
Me just
sass.
Wow.
I would call it sass. And 13, and you already know we are here. Okay, we're here. Up there. This is our time. Down here. It's their time. Up there. All right, let me start over. I've just tuned in to Hate It or Love It, episode number 13, and you already know.
Has it been that long? You can.
What is the first line?
The goal is to break the image.
Damn, I could not think of it.
Break the image of tradition. Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's get it.
Hey guys, welcome back. You have tuned in to Hate It or Love It, and you already know the goal is to break the image of tradition. Fuck a chica. I love this guy.
I love Josh Howley.
That's his name?
Josh Howley.
I wonder if he knows how to ride a horse. I'm just thinking about if you'll just be in your living room talking about.
Really?
You know, cause they be. I can't give fancy speeches. I don't really know how to talk, but I tell you what, I worked.
You did that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't like the way I broke into that. But to go into our next clip. Johnson.
Yeah, Coach Johnson is that deep. You know that. When rap first hit the screen, I would ride a mule to work though. But
if what you're pushing.
No.
This is really a message of love, and we really want to see us rise to, oh my gosh, my voice.
Infinity and beyond. Sorry. All right. One more time. So that concludes our show.
Oh my gosh. The battery's dying.
All right, hurry.